Very good evening to all who have joined with us today for the IET Sri Lanka Network monthly evening forum. As you can see, today we are going to have a webinar on the subject of the impact of digital globalization on tech entrepreneurs, opportunities for Sri Lankan engineers. I am Dr. Lalit Liyanage, Chairman IET Sri Lanka Network, and we have our guest speaker, Engineer Niroshan Samuel. He's the Senior Manager Product and Analytics at Alavi.ai. In fact, I don't know Niroshan yet. I'm also going to get introduced to him through this session. In most of the webinars, previous webinars, I knew the speaker before, and our today's speaker was introduced to me by our IET Sri Lanka Network Executive Committee member, Engineer Dasitha Liyanage. And let me just say hello to Niroshan. I think you are ready with your slides. And we have 23 participants at the moment. We had more registrations. So let me see. Yeah, it's 6:38. Let us wait for another, 5-6 minutes. And until then, I can do my introduction, and then I can hand over the sessions to Niroshan. So if you see the topic, impact of digital globalization, we are living in a very much digital era, especially with the pandemic, which started in 2020. We are more inclined to use digital technologies in our day-to-day lives, and most of our work have become work from home using digital platforms. And our children, we can see they are studying online as opposed to going to schools, universities physically. And most of the business, international commerce today happening, whether we like it or not, online. So there are various advantages out of this situation where business entrepreneurs can leverage on. I think our speaker's main talking point is on that, and he's going to emphasize what Sri Lankan engineers and tech entrepreneurs can leverage on this situation, especially startups, new startups, and also small and medium entrepreneurs. Because the previous scenario was before 2020, the international trade was mainly running by multinational, multi-million companies, where the overheads for meetings, infrastructure, travel was not a big problem for those big companies. But if you take a tech entrepreneur or startup company or small and medium entrepreneur, that overhead itself is some percentage in their cash flow, in their accounts. Therefore, this situation, I think it's a blessing in disguise, because the COVID has, restricted our travel, which can be positively utilized to have more and more digital online transactions, meetings, conferences, happenings, learning, everything. So we all know about it, but I think our guest speaker today will enlighten us something new to what we know. Am I right, Niroshan?
Exactly, Dr.
Yeah. Okay. So that is my small overview. And let us see. Yeah, we have 24. Is 6:41. Right. Considering tonight's final T20 match, which starts at 8, I don't want to drag this anymore. Let me introduce our speaker formally. Right, Niroshan Samuel, he's a MBA and BSc Engineering honors graduate. He's the head of product and analytics at Alavi.ai, one of the top AI solutions providing company which made it to the top 20 startups at the Web Summit Global Competition held in Lisbon 2018. He's best known in the field for his web mobile analytics and measurement capabilities, expertise, and has managed online campaigns for many top international brands, including Google. In addition to that, he managed many projects helping out countless startups globally to scale their business using digital technologies. He possesses 11 years of experience in product and analytics, consumer behavior, and digital growth in business to business and business to consumer retail sector, which is an area expected to generate millions of jobs all around the world in the next decade. Before joining Alavi.ai, he worked for Sri Lankan-born global tech support business 24/7 Techies, which became one of the top 10 tech support businesses globally while attracting funds from one of the most prominent venture capital funding programs in the world, 500 startups, Silicon Valley. He holds product management certification from the Product School USA, a global leader in product management training. Niroshan earned his master's in business administration from the University of Peradeniya, Sri Lanka, after his graduation in electrical and electronics engineering from the same university, University of Peradeniya. So he's a Peradeniya product. With that small introduction, it's 6:44, ideal time to start our session. We have 24 participants. So I once again welcome all the participants on behalf of IIT Sri Lanka Network. I'm I'm Dr. Lalit Liyanage, Chairman IIT Sri Lanka Network. We have our speaker, Engineer Niroshan Samuel. The game rule is we all will switch off our mics and videos. Only Niroshan's mic and video will be on during the presentation. Niroshan can take 45 minutes to 1 hour for your speech, and there will be questions and answers at the end. So please raise your questions in the chat box so that in end of the session, I will take all your questions, taking them from the chat box. So I think we are ready. 6:44, over to you, Niroshan.
Thanks, Dr. And as Dr. Wright mentioned, I think we are seeing the advantages of digital globalization, because I think most of the engineers are surviving because of this digital globalization. Otherwise, we would have ended up in houses without our jobs and difficult to carry out jobs and difficult to coordinate with international customers, suppliers. So we would have in a much difficult situation. Gladly we have this opportunity, so that we are continuing what we are doing, as especially as engineers, right? So yeah, I will start. And today discussion, I want to highlight the opportunities with digital globalization. As Dr. Wright mentioned, he mentioned few of the advantage. I want to highlight key area where as Sri Lankan engineers, what we can capitalize and what are the things we can earn out of these global opportunities, right? And yeah, and we want to identify what is the digital globalization advantage of digital globalization for engineers. As you can see, first thing is the information. We have access to all the information. See, we can get information from other countries, research papers. The best advantage I have seen for myself in the past 2 years after COVID, all the international conferences became online conferences, so that it's a good opportunity for us to attend to those conferences, get international knowledge and cooperate with international people, right? So that's the biggest advantage I got, because otherwise we need to travel to other countries, spend weeks and spend resources and money and time to get that knowledge. So now it was different because of this digital globalization. And also other advantage is that now, like, even small business, even small entrepreneur can acquire customer globally, because there are so many platforms right now, so that it allow us to get customers globally. And also communication, we have so many platform like LinkedIn, email, so that it's more easier for us to communicate to a specific person globally. Earlier, what we have to fly down to that country and participate in trade conferences and then meet people, but now it's totally different. We have a lot more opportunities with digital globalization. And good example is that Google, Amazon, Apple, everyone actually started in a garage as a startup with limited resources initially, but they became a global business. Now you see Amazon selling to all the countries, Google operating in almost all the countries. We can't live without Google now. So then we need to think, as Sri Lankans or as Sri Lankan engineers, is there any reason uh, to stop building companies like Google and Amazon? I would say no, because of this digital globalization. Now we have access to all the information, all the resources, and as Sri Lankan, we can build global level businesses, and we can actually help our country to and generation to come to grow like these companies or these countries. And what it's look like. So capitalizing digital opportunities, digital globalization opportunities. I just wanted to share one story. The founder of WSO2, he did an interview recently with Echelon magazine, but he mentioned he's founded WSO2, successful IT company in Sri Lanka, product company in Sri Lanka, and they generated 50 million revenue in 2020, even with during this pandemic period. And also they attracted many investment to Sri Lanka. Say earlier, without digital globalization, this we can't achieve this kind of revenue or this kind of achievement by sitting in Sri Lanka or by operating in Sri Lanka. And also other advantage is that WSO created hundreds of jobs and also hundreds of talents, and people who work for WSO2, they are going out from WSO2, and also they are creating similar businesses to attract similar revenue to Sri Lanka or build similar businesses using global digital globalization. And also WSO2 managed to attract global level customers like Boeing, eBay, Transport for London. So this tells us the opportunities with digital globalization, because let's say if you started a business in Sri Lanka, you can create easily. It's totally different what we had 10, 15 years back, because as Dr. Raj mentioned, we need a enterprise level business, so we need more resources to establish as a global level business. Now we have a lot more opportunity than. And one of the countries, Israel, actually managed to identify this opportunity. Because of that, they managed to capitalize this digital globalization opportunity. So far, they managed to create, within past few years, managed to create 6,000 startups, and also they established 350 multinational R&D centers. Compared to Sri Lanka, the Israel population is 9 million. So this tells us opportunity, because we have engineers, we have scientists, we have every other resources, we have internet, fairly good internet connection, that there's no reason we can't achieve the same success like Israel. Because of them capitalizing this opportunity, uh, they bec- uh, the engineers and scientists managed to build second innovative city globally, and it's second after the Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is the most innovative city. This Facebook, Google, all the big businesses started in Silicon Valley, but Israel managed to create the second largest city. And also you can see highest number of companies listed in Nasdaq. Nasdaq means US stock market, and this tells us what how the potential of revenue or the foreign currency these companies bring into Israel, right? And it helps them to build Israel as a nation. And then they managed to create large number of startups, and because of this digital globalization. So this is a very good success story, and also we should focus as engineers, we should focus, bring Sri Lanka to this level of success using digital globalization. And one company I would like to mention, Virtusa. I think one of the main companies listed in US stock market. it's the opportunity as Sri Lankan for us, because they are bringing a lot of revenue to Sri Lanka, and also they have more than 1,000 employees in Sri Lanka, plus they are creating more than 1,000 talents to Sri Lankan nation. So this is a really good the opportunity they are creating for Sri Lanka using this digital globalization. And then we need to understand what is the responsibility of Sri Lankan engineers, right? Before that, we need to understand why we need to build such global company, right? Someone can think, what is the reason? Do we need to build global companies? What is the advantage for Sri Lanka? How it helped to develop Sri Lanka? And I would like to share one chart. Here you can see this is the difference between imports and export in Sri Lanka over the years. You can see the x-axis. Here the import minus export are minus, export minus imports are minus numbers, which means we are importing more than exporting. So we are in a bad situation, right? So we need to fill this right now, fill in this gap from foreign remittance, foreign investment, tourism also not operating now as earlier. So we are in a big trouble now. We need to import more. The main things are like vehicle, fuel, those are the key components. Our exports, product and goods exports are limited, so we are in a big trouble. So I'm sure you know that we are in a dollar crisis, and our dollar funds are reducing, and we have to pay back our loans. And because of, we are in a really bad situation. Some of the rules established, because of um, uh, we can't use dollars now. Most of the business need to have special permission to access to dollars. So we are in a bad situation, and because of that, World Bank put out a statement saying foreign investment can help Sri Lanka to build back better. Because to get out of this foreign currency crisis, we have three ways to actually look at. One thing is getting loans from outside countries. That's not a good idea, because we have to pay back and we have to pay interest. We are in a lot of trouble. Or we can sell stuff belongs to Sri Lanka, or harbor, or lands, plants. That's the other option. And the safest and sustainable option is to get foreign investment to Sri Lanka for the businesses. And also there's a two ways of foreign investment can be revenue. Second one as the investment to Sri Lankan company. So that this tells us, as Sri Lankan engineers are the best people to capitalize this global opportunity and create global businesses to bring foreign currency to Sri Lanka, or foreign funds to Sri Lanka. So that even though we don't know about the responsibility we have, I think most of us learn from free education, beneficial from free education facilities in Sri Lanka. Uh, Beyond our day-to-day jobs, we have a lot more responsibility, and regardless of politics or anything else, we can actually build Sri Lanka back if we can put things together properly, right? So that's why I wanted to focus on how to create a global businesses using digital globalization opportunity. And so next question is, how do we get started, right? And there's a two ways. Some of you working for government companies, some of you working for private companies, some of you probably have companies, right? And the first thing is that you can reach global client easily now. For example, if you are producing consumer goods, you can create Amazon account, sell from tomorrow anywhere in the world. You can sell through eBay, and you can sell through Alibaba to business. And if you have a business and you want to reach businesses outside Sri Lanka, you can use LinkedIn, you can use email. So I have a couple of slides how to do it. And but there's a lot more opportunity. You can actually reach out to person in the company in UK, employee count of 50, and their revenues this many, and based on the profile you can reach easily, right? So this is the opportunity you have. And also, if you are selling something to consumer, you can use Facebook advertisement, Google advertisement, reach your profile. And basically you can reach someone in India and someone in Pakistan. You can reach them easily, right? And the hotels, so let's say you want to start at a hotel, because hotels also bringing foreign funds to Sri Lanka, right? Basically you don't have to do marketing as earlier. You can list your hotel on booking.com, agoda.com, and Airbnb. so that foreign customers can see your foreign travelers can see your hotel, and then they can book it from online, and then they can come to Sri Lanka. So this allows us a lot more opportunity to reach global customers. So if you have a business or product, definitely you should focus on getting global customers. And the second one is we can start a global business and thinking the global market. For example, the consumer product Uber, right? Uber started in US. After that, Pick.me started in Sri Lanka. Imagine that Pick.me started earlier than Uber, then Pick.me expand globally. Imagine the volume of foreign currency we can bring to Sri Lanka, right? It will be tremendous and huge, and the investment can bring to Sri Lanka. And the second one is the selling business to business. And if you want to start a software company, or if you want to invent a product or selling to a business, then definitely you can use this channel like WSO2 to capitalize digital channels to acquire customers. And consumer services, some of the companies providing network services, IT services, software, IT security services, engineering services. Now you can actually reach out to end consumer, provide these services easily. So so that as engineers we can look at in these two scenarios. If you have a business, think of how to reach global client, and if you don't have a business or you are thinking to start a business, think of creating a global business. And so I want to share one of the stories from my experience. So I worked for 247 Techies from 2010 to 2015. There it's a tech support business. For example, if someone in US searching for my Outlook, it's not working in Google, our ads pop up, right? And they click on that, they landed to our website, then they call us. Entire call center tech support team reside in Sri Lanka, and they call us. They say my Outlook is not working. Our techie will remotely log into the consumer's computer, and then they fix the issue. So they can fix so many issues like Windows upload, reinstall, and Outlook issues, Office issues. They can fix almost all the issues apart from the hardware issues. And because of that, this is actually a good example of creating global business and attracting global client. So in that period, we attracted client from US, UK, Canada, Australia, South Africa, and Europe, and all 100% operation through online. All the employees reside in Sri Lanka. We didn't have any sales people in US, including an even office, right? Because of that, actually we managed to get a 500 startup to invest $600,000 in Sri Lanka 247 Techies. And this entire fund we spent on R&D and hiring more people, expanding the business. Think that because of this global opportunity, Sri Lankan company decided to invest in research and development and hiring more people, training more talent, right? And this is a tremendous opportunity as a Sri Lanka. And by investing this investment within Sri Lankan people, this business actually became the ranked in the first top 10 best tech support business globally. This is a third party review website. So this is a big achievement because these other competitors like Geeks Code, you can see Ayogi, they had offline presence. Geeks Code is a US based company. They have offices in every state, and also they have salespeople. So, but we were managed to beat them because of this digital capability, because of we capitalized digital fully. So this is a good example because people might think, okay, so I want to compete with company in India, right? Let's say company in India selling some machinery. We want to also sell some machinery to Indian people. So don't think that, okay, we have a disadvantage because we are residing in Sri Lanka, they are residing in India. But this digitally, we can actually connect with them. We can show our capabilities. We can show our values over competitors. Then definitely we can have some customers. And then from 2018, I'm working with Alavi. It's part of the same group of companies. And Alavi started 2018. And from 2019, mid of 2019, we started reaching out to customers. And from that, now we have top e-commerce brand from India. In Pakistan, we have all the top e-commerce fashion and apparel brands. Singapore, Indonesia, UAE, US, and Canada. We have now customers all around the world. and this is without going to meet them personally or without traveling to these countries, right? So because we started 2019, then 2020 COVID came, even we continue to grow because some of the companies actually impacted with COVID and they have less number of customers. But for Alavi, we have more customers than before pandemic because of this digital opportunity. And like even now, customers are open to more open than earlier to work online and sign contract online and get start online. So this is a good opportunity. Right? And so we actually touch bit of how to reach global customers, and I explain a couple of examples. Now let's see how to start at the global business, because when I speak to young engineers and everyone has a mindset, no, I need to start a business. Everyone say I need to get out of a job, I need to start the business, I need to create a global business. But the thing is, they have that knowledge, they have that capability, brain capacity, enthusiasm, and they have the uh, uh, requirement. But the thing is, sometimes they don't know how to start. Sometimes they see that, okay, I will buy something from Peta and sell, I will quickly make some margin. But that's not what we need right now, because bringing something from China, selling in Sri Lanka, it's not going to help us, because still we are sending our currency to China, right? That's not what we want as Sri Lankan engineers. What we want, don't think small, think big, because all these companies, even Google, Amazon, they started as an individual small business, then they became a global business using this digital globalization. So that's why I wanted to take you through few steps how to start a global business and capitalize digital globalization. Right? For that, first we need to understand what is the reason we need to start a global business. As I said, first opportunity is attract foreign customers. If you create a global business, definitely you can get foreign revenue, and also you can funds. And the second thing is you can create jobs for Sri Lankan people. Actually, it will help to increase GDP for Sri Lanka. Right? It's the best thing you can do to Sri Lankan economy. And then next thing is you can create talent. You can train people, and people who work with you also, let's say you successfully created a global brand, and people who work with you also, they know how to create a global, right? They also will go ahead and create their own businesses, their global brand, because they know how this process works. So that is a good thing you can do to other young engineers in Sri Lanka, people who want to start, because you will create a global path for them, right? That's also we need, because let's say you start as an individual, then you train 10 people, that 10 people will train 100 people, so it has a ripple effect. And good example is that there's the people 8 to 10 people called PayPal mafia, and people who work for PayPal. And after PayPal successfully creating a global business, they left PayPal and created so many business. For example, you might know that Elon Musk, he worked for PayPal and he went out. Now he's created Tesla, he created SpaceX, and also he's going to do so many initiatives. And also you can see these people who work for this PayPal involved with many companies, like even they invested in Facebook, they created LinkedIn, and also they created Airbnb and YouTube. So you can see the impact you can do to Sri Lankan people, young engineers, if you can successfully build a global brand. And then apart from the advantage as a Sri Lankan, what are the advantages as individual? So let's say if you created a global brand, so most of the cases I have seen people can create a bigger business within 5 to 10 years, right? And they actually you can sell business if it is a global business. Basically, you can sell to another global business, or you can have a merger acquisition. And these are the good example. Instagram actually sold for $15 billion for Facebook. And because I want to mention Instagram doesn't have anything to involve with US, right? Geographical boundaries, because even a Sri Lankan engineer can build a platform like Instagram, right? And anything.lk, it's a Sri Lankan based company, and you know it's a deal site, and it was sold to a Dialog for $1.5 millions. let's say as an individual, if you build anything .lk like a product, and if you sold it to another company, this is a best outcome you can get. Let's say $1.5 million is not a small money, right? And Odell is the normal businesses. We had like everyone know Odell, like Odell for SoftLogic for 1.1 billion LKR. This is the share belongs to Otara, and the company sold for much larger value. And let's say if no one ready to buy your company, then what you can do, you can satisfy the minimum requirement to list in the share market, even US share market. You can list your business in the share market, and you can sell out your shares so that you can basically cash out. So building a business, you have a lot more opportunity to basically become rich. It's not an easy task, but there's a lot more opportunity individually as well compared to opportunities for the country. And okay, these are the steps if you want to start a global business. There are 7-8 steps. These are the comes from fundamental the startup requirement. And the first step is to identify the problem. So these are not rocket science. Let's say, I know if some of you may have already done MBS, if you're doing a research for MBA, you need to start with the problem. So these are global theories, but bit personalized into a startup. These are things we already know, already practice as engineers. So that's why I said engineers has lot more opportunities to create a global business than anyone else, right? And I will go through step by step. First step is to identify the problem. So identifying a customer's pain point is the first step. So we need to, before we build solution, before we build a product, before we build a business, we need to understand what is the problem we are going to solve. What is the pain point our customers has? For example, we can say my internet connections are unstable, right? That's the main problem we are suffering day to day in Sri Lanka. Sometimes connections are not stable. Let's say if someone can come build a solution for this, then definitely I know that there's a big market in Sri Lanka, even not in Sri Lanka. Globally, we have a big market. And the second one is someone can say if we ask from our consumers, they might say electric cost is high. That's how actually the solar panel came in for houses, because they can save money. Because of that, you need to first understand the problem. And the third example is recruitment is not easy. Like for if the people hiring, filtering, training, actually it's difficult. Let's say if you can come up with a solution, it will be a global opportunity. And no places to compare solar vendors. Let's say right now, if I want to buy a solar panel, then there are so many vendors. I can't actually compare. There's no one place to compare them and see how compare and see the advantage, because the common understanding we have, they are giving like 10-15 years warranty. After 2-3 years they are vanished. That's what happened last decade. Now we have for regulation, but people are skeptical, right? So those are the pain problem day to day we are facing, so that you need to understand the problem first. And this is the problem NASA had. They had this heavy lift launch vehicles, and they are taking stuff to international space station. But the problem is these heavy lift launchers are expensive, and also they can't reusable. They can use only once. So this opportunity actually Elon Musk identified. Because of that, he created a reusable Falcon 9. It actually can go multiple times. He can safely go to orbit and come back, and also affordable to send goods to international space station. Because of that, actually NASA had agreement with Elon Musk to or his company to get the support for this with this Falcon 9. So that also he identified the problem first. And other example is the Airbnb. I think some of you have heard of Airbnb. Airbnb is the platform where I can book a room in a house, right? Say I can book a house. I can become a traveler or host. If I'm a host, let's say I have a house, I have space, additional rooms, then I can list that room in Airbnb so that travelers can book. The advantage is traveler will come and stay with in my house, and they will have dinner with me, and I will prepare meals for him. So he get the full experience of that house, right? So Airbnb identifies few key problem before they build this business. First one is the price. Prices are really high for hotels. These guys actually started this in California, for example, Norelia. If you go to Norelia, let's assume that there's no houses, only hotels. The prices are really high during April, right? That's a pain point. And the second thing is hotels. When we stay in a hotel, if we go for a foreign trip, if we are staying in a hotel, the challenge is we don't have any connection to the local culture. And though we go to a business trip, we go to the hotel, we go to the business requirement, and then come back, return to Sri Lanka. We don't have any involvement with the culture. And the third problem they have identified, to book a room with a local, there wasn't an option. So let's say I want to book a room in Vietnam in a farmer's house. There, we didn't have that option earlier, 10 years back. So that's how Airbnb identified, because we actually rather staying in a hotel, we love to stay in a farmer's house, get that experience, live with him 1 or 2 days, and taste his food, and spend some time with his family. That's a valuable experience than staying in a hotel sometime, right? And actually I also wanted to get that experience. This is, I stayed in this small farmhouse. This is 400 kilometers away from San Francisco, California. I wanted to test Airbnb. Before I go to this place, actually I also couldn't understand what is the value of Airbnb. I went there, and this is the house in the right side. So basically, actually he helped me to he introduced the house and the room, and we had a chat around 1 hour. He told me about his story. He actually migrated from Norway, and he showed me the garden, and also he told me to use the kitchen anytime and stay there. So it was a like unforgettable experience. There's a huge difference between staying in hotel. So that's how Airbnb identified this problem, and so come up with a solution. So Peter Thiel, he actually worked for PayPal. He one of the founders, and he mentioned that there are many more secrets in the world that are waiting to be found. So as engineers, we need to find these secrets. So for example, solar power is a secret before we find a solar panel, right? So engineers actually found it, and hydropower plants are secret before we found it. So there are so many secrets available. If you can find these secrets, we can create global opportunity, global businesses. And Uber is a secret, because earlier we used to do hire cab services. Those are costly, and we can't hire as we want, and we can't share with people. So actually Uber is a secret to that pain point. So that's how Uber became a global business. So as engineers, think of a problem and try to identify secrets for that. So train your mind. And this also applicable not only for finding a problem and creating businesses. Even you are working for a company, this is really important, because there are always problems. We are solving so many problems. We need to find secrets, because if we stick into the same routine, we won't find additional secret and opportunities. So always think how to find secrets to create the new opportunities. And this is one of the energy company in Australia, Amber. They providing it's bit different to Sri Lanka. They have retailers, and many retailers, not like CB. They are purchasing from government, and many retailers doing the distribution. So this company actually came up with solution. They give the wholesale price to customer. Otherwise, you can see in the red line, this is the price customer get from other companies. These guys managed to reduce the price and give the electricity for the wholesale price. This is a disruption, and within 1 year they managed to expand their business and also attract so many investments. So you can, if you're really interested, you can go to their website. They have founder story, how many investment they attracted, how they grew, and all the information. The other thing is that they actually came up with a mobile app, and it will tell us wholesale prices, when to use my fridge, when to use my washing machine, and they allow us to manage my electricity. Because of that, uh, get uh, get the advantage of using wholesale price. So because not like Sri Lanka, in Australia, electricity price is little bit high, and also it's varying time to time. Right? They identified that problem, and actually they came up with solution. That's how they were a successful startup. And right now they don't have any limitation. They can expand this business to any country who has retailers and the consumers, right? So that's how you can create a global business using digital globalization and the technology as engineers. And this is the story about Alavi. We actually working with so many small businesses, and we identify that these small businesses as digital marketers. Digital marketing in the sense they do a running campaign on Facebook, Google, digital advertisement campaign. And we found that these small businesses mean their revenue is low, like they are not like enterprise level businesses, and they have limited resources, and they have inexperienced digital marketers, because these small businesses can't hire a team of digital marketers or well experienced digital marketers, because we are running with limited resources. And second problem we identify, this digital marketer don't have data science knowledge, they don't have knowledge about technology, they don't have knowledge about like 10 years experience, because and also these small businesses can't hire team of people with data science knowledge, technology knowledge, and as I said, they are running with limited resources. And because of this limitation, in small businesses their marketing performance are poor. And so this is the problem they were having. So actually we spoke to so many customers to identify that everything online. We set up interviews, we set up discussion, we actually read all the online platform like Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups. We are listening what the digital marketers telling about businesses, what are the problems. So we identified this problem. That's how Alavi came into life, right? And if I summarize the identifying the problem, you need to identify the painful problem for your customers. If it is not a painful problem, then they are not going to customers not going to spend money on purchasing that your product or solution. And then you need to identify how passionate are you about fixing this problem. And this is also important, because I have seen many engineers, they started some of the business not related to their passion or not related to their subjects. Then they give it up after some time because they are not passionate about it. So if you're finding a problem, think a problem with your own experiences related to you and surrounding to you, that actually help you to build a global business. Because building a global business is a 5 to 10 to 15 years process, not a 1 year or 2 year process to like earn some money and drop it from there, right? And then the third one is we need to identify how many people have this problem. Because let's say I identify a problem, that problem in Sri Lanka has only 500 people, then I can't create a big business, right? I can sell to these 500 people. Out of that, let's say 100 people buys, then I can't scale beyond that. So if you're building a global business, you need to understand how many people have the same problem. So because of that, we need to understand the market size. The second step, what you need to do, does your business idea solve a big enough problem? Let's say Uber solving a global problem, right? Google solving a global problem. And let's say the solar panel solving a global problem. So you can see solar, if you look at the history of solar panel, you can see, because solar panel we started with a lot of limitation, now technology actually involving to solve this problem one by one, right? So you need to understand a global problem that will help you to create a global business. And this is how Airbnb identify that. Airbnb, as I said, it's a room booking on the platform. They mention in this is I actually extracted from their investment pitch deck, which means they created the presentation in 2010 to attract some of the investment. Now they publish it. You also can find it online. And they identified 1.9 billion trips booked worldwide and 532 million trip books budget and online trips. So they identified this 532 as the target market for them, the potential. Out of that, initially they targeted 10.6 million trips with Airbnb. That's the market share they targeted. So now they are much bigger than that. So similarly, you also need to identify what is the global opportunity, and their The good advantage with digital globalization is that now everything available online. So for example, Alivi.ai, we wanted to identify how many companies with employee 50 and 100. We in LinkedIn there's the option called Sales Navigator. It's $50 a month. If we purchase that, we can get all the information. We can say how many digital marketers in Sri Lanka, India, Pakistan, US, and what is the experience, and how many SMBs available, how many businesses, e-commerce businesses available. Every data point we can get it from LinkedIn. Similarly, for your businesses, there are enough sources available. Sometimes you have to pay something, but you can pull all the information sitting in Sri Lanka without any issue, right? And yeah, so Alavi, we actually looked at the potential. So we identified the problem. Then we identified 500,000 small businesses available globally with this issue or with the profile, and we are targeting 20,000 initially. Next 5 years, achieve the 20,000 customer. And if I summarize the market size, first you need to define your target customer, who are the customer with the problem, and then you need to estimate the number of target customers to see whether you have enough potential, and determine your penetration rate. Let's say, for example, Alavi, we identify 500,000 small businesses. Initially, we want to target 20, get that penetration rate. Then you can calculate the potential market size, volume, and value. Then you can say, okay, the target is to achieve 20,000 customers in 5 years. Then you can say within 5 years, this is the revenue you are going to achieve. That is the bigger mission you want to achieve. Then you can actually plan for strategies and the action item to achieve that, right? And as a third step, we need to understand the customer. So first we understood the problem, market size. We need to dig deeper into customers and identify what they want, why do they have this problem, what is the solution I can build. So we shouldn't build the solution straight away. We need to understand the customer first, right? Airbnb, there are two type of customer, traveler and the host. Host, the house owner, they actually understood what are the problem travelers has and the host have. And there's a quote Henry Ford said, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses, right? Because at that period they had horses and everyone wanted horse to run fast. But if if that's the problem they mentioned, the important thing is we need to understand what is the root cause problem, right? And here the problem these customers have, they want to move from point A to point B faster. Actual problem is not they need faster horses, they need to move point A to point B. Actually, Henry Ford identified that. Because of that, he created the car. Otherwise, he would have still working with horses and optimizing horses to run fast, right? And actually, Alavi, we actually identified the customers, and we actually did so many interviews to identify the root problem for them. They are like e-commerce businesses, they have inexperienced digital marketer. So their problem is they want to grow fast, right? They want to increase their revenue fast. That is the root cause. Even though they tell we have only inexperienced digital marketers, we don't have resources, we don't have experience in analytics, data science, the root problem, they want to grow fast. Apart from that, they don't care whether we use AI, whether we use data science, they don't care about that. So they want to grow their businesses. So we identified that problem with them as well, right? And then if I summarize the customer and persona, talk to your potential customer. Let's say you have a startup idea or product idea. Talk to your customer. Even before you create the product, create the image and share on Facebook group. So share to your friends and get the feedback. So then you can see whether people are interested and whether you can create this, invest time and resources in creating this product. Will this valuable? So you need to talk to more and more potential customers to identify that. Sometimes it's not a good idea to speak to your friends, because if your friend is not a potential customers, they will tell you wrong feedback. Because let's say if someone created a product and asked from me, I won't tell a disappointing feedback, right? I will tell, yes, this is a good idea, you should start this. But because I'm not a ideal customer for him, let's say if he asks, okay, you are saying this is good, are you ready to buy this, will you buy this now? then I would say no, I will think about it, I need time, which indicates that I am not a potential customer. So talk to your customers and potential customers, identify whether your solution is marketable solution, and also understand the core problem. So don't limit to what they say, try to understand the core problem, what they want to achieve from the backside, apart from the what they are telling, right? And once you identify these two, then you can create a hypothesis for the solution. Now you identify the problem, you identify the customer has a real need, then you can come up with the solution. Then let's go to the sorry, uh, the fourth section, minimum lovable product. So earlier, before 2000 era, people say if you have a product idea, they used to create the entire product and they try to sell it. Let's say you want to create a transformer, like new type of transformer or mobile app. It might take 1 year. What happened was you create the product, you're trying to sell it, then the product is so obsolete. People say, no, we no need now because you had the problem 1 year back. Now you created that, they don't need, they have some alternative. So that's not a good idea. It's not recommended, because after 2000, after US, there was so many businesses crash because of dot-com boom. After that, there was a concept called lean startup. So there they will start with the minimal lovable product. So which means, what is the product you can create with the minimal resources? For example, Alavi, we wanted to create a dashboard for digital marketers. So actually we created the dashboard without creating the algorithm or designing the algorithm from the back end. We did algorithm, actually few people ran on their machine. Then actually we uploaded data manually to the dashboard. That's how actually we won the startup top 20 from the Web Summit Lisbon, without having the complete product. And also this judge panel also actually excited of the product, because they don't care about the algorithm or the backend infrastructure. They care whether this dashboard can solve their problem, right? That's why we call it minimal lovable product. So whenever you have a idea, think of how to create, how to give experience to your potential customers, spending minimal resources and time, and how fast you can go to the market. So that's the key thing you need to mention. Because I have worked with few engineers, they had few ideas. Let's say one had an idea to create a travel, the discount, the mobile app, right? Then he outsourced it. It took 6 months, and actually at that time he also has had other priorities, and his enthusiasm died, so that he actually, this startup idea never happened. Because of that, the rule of thumb is create minimal lovable product. Let's say if you want to sell a product, without creating the product, you can sell it on Facebook, right? You can see whether customer, actually people are inquiring. If people are inquiring, which means you have a demand, then you can invest some effort into creating the product, right? And Airbnb also the same. They haven't focused on like AI data science driven platform. They just created a website and they listed their one room they had in their houses, and they pasted that on a classified website like Ikman. There's a classified website in US called Craigslist. They posted there, and actually three people bought the room. So that's how they, without investing big money on creating a most beautiful website, most technologically advanced website, they managed to test their hypothesis using a simple website. And so yeah, so this is the lean startup methodology. When you have idea, build it, and product, this is the minimal lovable product, give it to customer, measure, collect data, learn, and then iterate. So basically it says fail fast, experiment fast, fail fast, because if you fail fast, you know that this is not going to work for your customer, right? Then you can go to the next step. Let's say if it is take 1 year to understand your product is a failure, then you spend your time, resources, and you given up maybe your job, and you will end up in a bad situation. So always keep in mind that you don't have to create the complete solution to validate that. So you can validate the hypothesis with the minimum lovable product. Then Alavi, actually initially we created a dashboard, and without worrying on the infrastructure and the algorithm, then we provided this dashboard to customer. We uploaded data manually. Actually, customer said this is really valuable, I am using daily basis. So that was a good foundation for us. Then it gave us confidence to go ahead and allocate resources to build the product. And summary of minimal lovable product, the goal is to find the big idea first, right, or the validate the big idea, and the reduce wastage, and the accelerate time to market, which means as soon as possible go to customer and validate this whether this product has a demand or not. And the fifth step, we need to get the initial attraction. So because now we have a identified customer, we created the hypothesis, we validated, and also we know that our product is working. Actually, Airbnb, once they identified these 3-4 customers, they created the website. They started to post on Craigslist. Any room they list, they post on this classified site like Ikman, and also they got few partnership from their network, and also they targeted events because this event days all hotels are booked, or basically hotel prices are over the roof, so that they targeted this event to market their the house room booking platform. So that's how they got initial customers. And Alavi, actually we had 3 customers from our connection, so we gave our product to these 3 customers. They actually said this product is valuable, and they were managed to increase their revenue from 20 to 30%. So we also had that confidence with this initial attraction, so that whenever you have a product, then use your network, use this social media, use free medium, don't spend a lot of money on attracting initial customers. Through network, this social media, this platform, definitely you can attract customers. And the summary of initial attraction, look for known people and customers to get the initial attraction and referrals, and validate your solution and value to the customer. With initial attraction, you can actually validate whether your product or services valuable to them. And the sixth step, now you have validated your product, you have like initial customers, now you want to grow means you need to exponentially grow. For example, let's say I created a new solar panel, right, it saves energy, reduce wastage, and now you sold to like 5 to 10 customers, they are happy about it. Now you want to sell it to 100 customers, 1000 customers, 10,000 customers, right? That's how you can uh, become a global business. For that, you definitely you need to raise an investment, because by selling 10 15 solar panels you won't get much funds to scale your business. And other than that, you have your own money, big money with you. Other than that, it's really difficult. For that, the solution for that, to get an investment from investment company, the main thing is there are so many companies even in Sri Lanka, they are investing in this startup. We call it angel investors, like they are acting like angels. And what they want is they invest money and they get certain percentage of share or the ownership. It could vary from 10% to 20 30%, right? And the advantage of getting that investment, these angel investors are well known people in the industry. They are like directors, CEOs, even Sri Lanka and outside Sri Lanka. And you can get a lot of support. They have like business knowledge, they have seen how startup grow, they invested multiple startup, so that you will get a lot of knowledge. Because as an engineer, you are starting a business, you need that experience, that knowledge to your business as well. Second one is the introduction and networking. Let's say uh, one investor from, let's say, India, so he can introduce to all the top in uh, Indian network with through his connections. And also if he invested in other companies, then he can introduce your solution to other companies, so that he will open up a big opportunity. So in Alavi.ai, founder once said the best thing he did in his life, he went to a conference and he saw a person, he excited and he invited him as a into the director board, right? Then that person actually opened whole lot of opportunity to get investment to the business. So that's how that networking and the introductions are helpful in terms of getting investment and getting customers. And finally the financial support, because you need to grow your business, you need to hire people, you need to establish an office, you need to buy the physical goods, and you need to invest on R&D, so that you need the financial support also. And so this is the Airbnb story. So these two guys actually broken and sitting in San Francisco, even they couldn't pay the rent. Then they actually advertised their room, and they three people showed up. Actually, each paid $80. Then they found that okay, there's a good opportunity to the rent rooms for travelers. Then they co-founded the Airbnb at 2008. They got an initial investment 20,000 because they didn't have money, so that they talked to an investor from Y Combinator. Y Combinator is a famous investment company. They created a pitch deck presentation and presented to show potential, so that they got a $20,000 investment. After spending this $20,000, they actually managed to improve this to get $400 a revenue for a week. So this actually showed a potential. Because of that, they wanted more investment to grow their business. In 2010, they got $7.2 million revenue, investment, and 2011 they got $112 million revenue, the investment. Because of that, this actual investment helped them to grow exponentially. And here you can see, because of after 2010 they are getting investment, they actually their room booking went up to 17 million, right? So they become a global business after this investment. And also other the key point I wanted to highlight, these two people are not like engineers, and they don't have like all the knowledge. And because whenever engineers have an idea to create a global business, they think that okay, that engineer doesn't have knowledge in all the sections, right? He may not have knowledge on data science or infrastructure, but they are worrying on that. But the thing is, we don't have to worry, right? If you can prove the concept, and once you get the investment, then there's an opportunity you can hire people. Because successful entrepreneur means a person who's doing everything by himself. He actually should manage a company. For example, Larry Page, the founder of Google, they left Google and appointed a different CEO. So because they found that they can manage the global the parent business, they should hire a CEO to grow the business beyond that. And most of the companies, actually they hire short-term CEO. Like say if they want to go to public market, list and share market, they hire a CEO capable with that experience, right? So the key thing is here, we can hire people if we can prove the concept. And Airbnb, one of the key area I wanted to highlight, that as a 8 person, they hired a data scientist. Usually he worked for Stanford Research Center, and this data scientist actually helped shaping Airbnb. Even though Airbnb a room booking website, they use so many data science based algorithm to give the better experience to customer. That's how they crush their competitors. That's the core value. They call them as a technology company, not a hotel booking company. And Lankan Angel Network is a Sri Lanka investment company, and they are ready to invest in startups. These are some of the startup they have invested. Some of the companies actually become global business as well, right? And actually I was working having a discussion with one of these Lankan Angel Network the partners, and they said that in Sri Lanka they are getting less number of good proposal means they are like, they should be a global opportunity, scalable opportunity, good team. They are saying they are not getting enough proposal, they have excess money to invest. So as engineers, this is a good opportunity, because I have seen whenever engineers send a proposal, they tend to invest because they believe that engineers are could be capable people to run a business, and they have brain capacity, they have knowledge. So these are the good opportunities. So if you have a even idea, then definitely you can create a proposal and send it to these guys. Then they are ready to invest on these ideas, right? And raise investment, I would like to show a summary in the sixth step. You need funds and support to achieve growth, because you are building global business. You need to achieve growth. You need to hire the right talent. It's not difficult to get investment in Sri Lanka, because there's a I think most of the engineers are not aware that we can get an investment easily in Sri Lanka, and they are thinking that okay, I need to spend money from my pocket, And then what if my business not success? In the beauty of investment, let's say after one year your business actually failed, your product failed because no one is buying, then you don't have to pay back, right? That's the risk investors get. So but failing in a startup, the advantage is that you can build the second startup. Actually people build this startup successful startup after failing so many startup before that, right? So don't uh, fear in terms of failing as a startup. That's the best experience you can get. And the seventh, once you get the investment, now you can achieve the exponential growth. To achieve the exponential growth in a global business, you need two things. What is acquiring customer using digital channels, and capture data and analyze data, right? And if you want to achieve global customers in the exponential growth stage, basically you can use these digital platforms like Facebook, Google Ads, LinkedIn, email. And if it is a consumer good, you can use Amazon, eBay, Alibaba. And also if it is a hotel related, if you like establish a hotel, then you can use hotel.com, Agoda, Airbnb, right? And in Facebook, basically there's an advertisement we can do. Even like you can spend $10, start with $10 as small, and you can target people in specific location, specific demography, like age between 35 to 40, female, you can target them, interest. Let's say if I'm selling fashion and apparel product to foreign customers, I can say people who are in Australia, females, age 35 to 40, interest in fashion and apparel. And even I can mention some of the competitor brand like say ASOS, right? And I can target based on the behavior. They are like frequent travelers, and could be sport players. I can target based on multiple behaviors. And the connection also, let's say I can target people, parents with 0 to 1 year kids, and I can target people single based on their marital states. Similarly, I can target based on so many variables, right? And if I explain it bit more, here you can target based on relationship, men, women, and relations status. In foreign countries, even we can target based on financial information, net worth. They have all those information. And based on life event also we can sell. The good example is we actually advertised to help e-commerce business to grow in Sri Lanka. They were selling TVs. We targeted people recently married and sold TV show advertisement for them. Actually, those advertisement are really profitable, because people who married recently, they are looking to buy TV. So actually, they bought TVs after clicking on advertisement. So that granular detail level, we can do the targeting with even with the $10. Right? So think the opportunity, like you can target people anywhere in the world except few countries like China and others. See the potential with this. And then let's say LinkedIn, you can reach out to people through advertisement based on company name, industry, company size, job title. So basically we advertise to digital marketers across all the companies with 1 to 2 experience, and we limit company size employees 50 to 100, and industry we limit e-commerce, job function we say marketing. And all these variables we can actually target through LinkedIn by using paid ads. So this is a good opportunity, and if you want to target certain businesses and you are selling to businesses your product and solution, you can target through LinkedIn. And this is the example of Google Ads. So 247 tech is, I mentioned that if someone searching for my Outlook is not working, 247 tech is ads come here. This is a ad from Google search engine. Similarly, you can do advertisement based on keywords, right? So let's say you are selling TVs in Sri Lanka, or you can target the keyword TVs. If someone search for TVs in Sri Lanka, the advertisement will come up. Let's say you are selling solar panel to other countries, right? Or any goods to other countries. So you can do advertisement on Google and actually target certain keywords. So these three platforms has tremendous opportunity, and they have like billions of users in this platform, so that you can easily reach out to them. And this is how Airbnb growth happened because of they are analyzing data and the capabilities with data. And 2011, they actually analyze number of booking per traveler. So they found that some travelers book 2-3 nights, some travelers books only 1 night. So they analyzing data, they found that if that quality images listed in the website, then travelers tend to book more than 2 nights per their stay. They identified this opportunity by analyzing data, and they hired 20 photographers straight away, and they photographers to all the houses they listed in the California. They took photographs and improved the quality of photographs, and then actually they achieved the exponential growth after initiating this approach. And also Airbnb had other issue, and the difference between Airbnb and the hotel booking website. Let's say Airbnb is traveler book that, host can actually evaluate traveler, approve that. Let's say what happened in US, if a black people book a room, if the house owner is a white people, then they tend to reject that. So then actually Airbnb lost the business, and they build an algorithm. Then they build a prediction engine. So if someone trying to book a room, platform suggests a room which he can more likely to book based on the prediction, right? That actually improve their conversion rate of booking. Then I think some of you know about Chamath Palihapitiya. He's a Sri Lankan, migrated to Canada, and then worked for Facebook. Actually, he's one of the key person in Facebook, can help Facebook to grow users to 1 billion users. And he's one of the top first 6 people work for Facebook. And actually, he found a interesting insight. He found that if a new Facebook user has 10 friends within 7 days, then he's going to become an active Facebook user. So identifying this insight, all the Facebook algorithm created to achieve 7 friends within 10 days. So let's say if you create an account, it asks us to upload our email contact, and also it recommend people to us, and it recommend people to us based on GPS coordination. Let's say if I seen someone, a friend after a long time, his profile automatically suggesting to me. So they created algorithm to get these 7 friends within 10 days. Because of that, them to grow the business. So this tells us in the growth stage, you need to invest time and money on analyzing data. So let's say, because definitely you have some revenue coming and you got an investment, then you need to focus more on another capturing and analyzing data. And as Alavi, we found that initially our retention was 60%. Retention means, let's say if someone 100 people sign up with Alavi, after a year only 60 people stayed with us. We wanted to improve that, and we did the analysis. We found that if a e-commerce business, they have only 1,000 sales a month and 40,000 traffic users a month, they are the ideal customers for us. Let's say if someone has less than 1,000, if they sign up with us, after few months they are not going to continue with us. So then we restricted our customer profile and targeted only customers with more than 1,000 sales a month. Then our retention rate actually increased from 60% to 95%. So that's how we actually use data to achieve this success. And this is the Alavi story in nutshell, and started in 2019 with the few dashboard, and it won the top 10 startup pitches. And 2019 we created the 80% 20% automation with 80% manual, tested with initial customers. We had tech challenges because only few fresh graduates coding this product. And 2020 50% automated. We actually hired a data scientist from he actually from Cambridge University. And then we hired a CTO for us, worked for Virtusa 20 years, and head of marketing joined us. She actually worked for Lamborghini Italy. So because of success, early success, we managed to hire these people. And now 2021, actually we managed to automate the product 100%. And also Now we are investing a lot of time and effort on aggressive digital marketing to get more customers across US, AU, and EU, right? And this is the story of Zigzag. Zigzag, Dinudu Navaratna actually founded Zigzag. He, electronic engineer from University of Moratuwa, he founded Zigzag. It's a fashion and apparel business. He started a website in 2014, and also he's raised investment from 2015 and 2017. After 6 years now, uh, he's one of the big online retailers in Sri Lanka, and also he started a store in Colombo 3, and also he has now more than 30 people working under him. Think that the opportunity he created for Sri Lanka, and also he's trying to go global, sell our products globally, because the people who stitching these fashion apparel from Sri Lanka, and 30 people working for him, and these 30 people also know about this business, how to create and grow business. They create a talent. So this is a tremendous impact he's doing to uh, 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 Sri Lanka as an engineer, right? So we need more engineers like this so that they can create a big impact to Sri Lanka. And also one of the question people ask, okay, if I started a business, whether someone can copy it. Actually, Sapo started the shoe selling business in 1999. Basically, the founder went to the retail shop, took few photos and listed in a website. Then if someone bought it, he run to the shoe shop and buys it, he ship it or mail it, right? And this is how they actually validated. The good thing is that in 2009 Amazon bought this for 1.2 billion. Before that, in early 2000 year, Amazon said, guys, you need to sell your business to us, otherwise we are going to create a shoe brand and Amazon going to kill you. But these guys said, no, we are not going to sell it now because the given price is too low. We are going to operate as Suppose. And Amazon actually tried to kill Suppose by introducing shoes, but they couldn't kill Suppose because of the value Suppose created to customer. You can read more about Suppose. The value they created, their customer experience. They focus on customer experience. Even though they're selling shoes, their core value is the giving the best experience to customer from the first touch point. Let's say from the calls, emails, the website, the product, delivery, logistic, everything. They focus on the giving the best experience. So similarly, you also need to find some value with your business. So that if you have a value, then your competitors can't easily capture your area. For example, Google tried multiple times with their resources, data to create a platform like Facebook. They failed many times. So that it's not easy to copy and kill a startup, so that you have good opportunity because of that. And as you all heard, startup life cycle is not a straightforward growth. You will launch, you will see some roadblocks, then definitely you will have see some momentum. So you need to keep doing it. So startup is not something like you can start and give it away after 2 months. It's a long-term commitment you have to do. And Bill Gates said most people overestimate with what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. Let's say if your business, if it take 2 3 years to build, which means it's very difficult to copy. For example, Google. Now Google algorithm is optimizing every day because of billions of search queries. Now competitor can't come and replace Google tomorrow because they have this 10 15 years worth of data. They are optimizing the algorithm day by day. So that's why I want to share this, because people excited and they start and they look at few and they want to achieve like big overestimate, and they want to achieve big revenue in within 1 year. And if they can't achieve that, then they go to a disappointment and then give it away. But the thing is, you need to plan for 10 years. How can I create value? How can create competitive edge? And how can create a global business within 10 years? Because so much you can achieve in 10 years than the overestimating within a year, right? And finally, I want to conclude the presentation by saying, let's make better Sri Lanka. As engineers, let's step up and let's create a global businesses. We'll tap global using global digitalization with this opportunity, and it allows us to attract foreign funds, create jobs, create talent. This is the best thing we can do it right now to Sri Lanka to get out of this crisis and build a better Sri Lanka. Yeah. So yeah, I think this is the final slide. And if you have any questions, we can go through it now.
Thank you, Niroshan. It was a wonderful presentation with a lot of new knowledge, especially people like at our age, because this is for a young engineer, this is fantastic. And those who have entrepreneurial ideas, I'm not sure how many of this audience are entrepreneurs, because by looking at the profile, I know many of them are working for big companies. But the how the world has moved in this domain, and especially when you talk about in your last slide, attract foreign funds. Uh, w- I mean, how much uh, pressure we have when we talk about the port city, because we had a webinar on port city project, and we learned a lot as to how foreign investment, foreign direct investment can, develop Sri Lanka through port city project. Forget about political whatever behind port city project, but I see it as a very good source for direct foreign investment. So all what you talked in during your presentation was that. So thank you very much. And if we had this seminar in a hall, physical hall, you would have got a big round of applause. We can't do it, but I, uh, on behalf of IT Sri Lanka Network, I commend your presentation, and I thank you very much for enlightening us.